So this is going to be federal, state, and county level questions. First, for the state, how do you feel about diving back into lifting the cap on charter schools? You know, the main problem that we're having right now, it would actually, I'm not saying it would solve all the school problems, but it might, is there's no competition. There's no other, there's no alternative sources for us, parents. And we're just left with, the Christian schools, the little co-ops that are popping up here and there. There's nothing solid that actually teaches civics. We can have politics in the classroom, but it has to teach civics. They don't do that anymore. Right. And if you had some kind of competition, charter school, for example, is one, but funding the student would allow so many new ideas to come through.
So, being a Rochester City School graduate, and last year, to address the question that you asked, I frequently interact with City Council. I also do talk to people in the Assembly and the Senate and stuff too. But right now, if you guys have seen the news, what's going on in the city, they were trying to shut down a lot of the schools. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
So they tried to shut them down, then the parents were like, oh no, we don't want to do that. So here's the deal. Rochester has the third most funded school district in the nation. This year, after the COVID money, we're almost number one. Okay, with the results that Len was just talking about that we get out of our funding. Okay, now this isn't the same amount of money that people in different school districts are getting for their kids. But still, the state is pumping money into the city school district. Why? For poor returns. If you're going to keep getting poor returns every single year, but you're going to keep raising the budget, you're going to keep shutting schools every year, but you're going to keep raising the budget, you're getting less and less children into schools every year, but you're going to keep raising the budget. I mean, you can't make that make sense to me, and I'm sure it doesn't make sense to anybody in this room. That being said, they're pushing very hard against charter schools, against Christian schools, and against any school that wants to teach any different options. They want to make it so that anything that goes through the educational system has to be run through the state. And this is reflected very prominently in a bill that they have right now on the table in the Assembly, A8378. So what that bill does is it says that any child in any school, whether it's city school, private school, or a Christian or other alternative school, has to get these shots, right? So it says no matter where they are, in order for the schools to get funding. Okay, so and it's written in the bill, funding. It's all about money at the end of the day. When it comes to the state, it's about money. And whose money is it? It's your money, right? Okay, and you deserve choices. But they don't want to give you the choices because they want to keep sucking the money out of you, and they want to give you all types of reasons why they need that money. But they're not giving us the delivery. They're not doing like Len was just saying. They're not providing enough trade schools. I talked about that also earlier. They're not providing enough, and this is a big thing for me. Isn't science and scientific math and stuff, STEM, supposed to be the big future? Right? That's the big future now, right? Well, where is the advanced training in the schools, in the high schools for this? Why aren't they preparing the kids at a younger age so that they can actually get some of these jobs after high school?
Because this is a core curriculum.
Yes, and it goes right back to the state. Right. Everything is run by the state, and I think that needs to be broken up because that's kind of like a monopoly, isn't it?
No, it is a monopoly.
It is a monopoly. And even if you're a homeschooler, if any of you guys here do homeschool, your kids still have to pass the state test, and they're the ones who make the rules on that. And that to me is unacceptable because those state tests and those state regulations do not determine whether your child or whether your grandchild will be able to be successful and succeed in this world. And we should change that, and I believe that now is the time that we can take action against that, and I have some plans to go along with that, but I don't want to take up a lot of time.
I have a question. How much money have they spent or going to spend on another focus group, another research group, another get to the bottom? How much money are they spending on groups to find the way to solve the problem rather than just solving it?
So this is something I couldn't even honestly tell you because it's something new every week, isn't it? And I think that this is something that everybody could talk about up here. For every level of government, there's always some focus group. On Washington, D.C. side, there's always some study. On the state side, on the assembly side, there's always some, let's fund this program to go analyze it. And I think a good example of what you're talking about is their studies into poverty. Rochester, a couple of years ago, had a $33 million study into why poor people were poor. Okay? You understand? And this is...
Where they should just give the 33 million to the people.
Well, but exactly. But this shows that their priorities are lax. Okay? You don't need anybody to tell you why you're poor. You don't need anybody to tell you why you're out of work. You need solutions. And that's what the government is supposed to, it's all about the money. And that's what the government is supposed to be providing you, but they're not. They're just finding more ways to whittle away your tax cash so that they can complain to the feds that they need more money from the federal government.